Friday, July 18, 2008. The evening was drawing to a close near the bustling Gwinnett Place Mall in Duluth, Georgia. Then, at just after 9 p.m., a single gunshot rang out. A witness at a nearby bus station dialed 911, reporting the sound of gunfire.
911.
The lady just got shot.
Is she breathing?
Yeah, she moving a little.
I've got everybody on the way.
Gwinnett County Sheriff's detectives and paramedics arrived to find a grim scene. An African-American woman lying wounded on the ground. She'd been shot once in the chest. Despite their best efforts to stabilize her and transport her to the hospital, she didn't survive. The victim was identified as Janae Coleman, 40 years old, but the crime scene yielded almost no evidence. The investigation that followed would become a labyrinth of dead ends and unexpected revelations. The question haunted investigators. Who murdered Janae Coleman? A random act or a deliberate attack by someone close to her? And what could possibly explain such brutality? Without further delay, let's dive into another crime mystery. Duluth, Georgia, is a small town that offers all the amenities of a big city. Its 31,800 residents enjoy a unique blend of modern living and outdoor activities. Named a Tree City in 1989, Duluth is committed to preserving its green spaces amidst rapid urban growth. With an affordable cost of living and a dense suburban atmosphere, it's a popular choice for families. The city is also considered relatively safe, with the chance of falling victim to a violent crime being just 1 in 1,000. But in 2008, Duluth became the site of a horrific crime that shocked the community: the murder of Janae Coleman. Janae Coleman was born on October 2, 1967 in Elkhart, Indiana, to parents Geraldine and Robert Coleman. She was the third of 5 siblings, with 2 sisters, Rhonda and Camelia, and 2 brothers, Edwin and Vincent. Raised in a family that valued honesty and love, Janae grew up in a devout Christian household, where faith and family were paramount. Though her parents eventually divorced, they remained on good terms. Beyond her faith, Janae was deeply committed to serving her country. At 18, she enlisted in the military and served with honor. After completing her service, she returned home and pursued her passion for teaching.
She was a phenomenal teacher. I was actually in her class a few years. Her ability was very awesome to see.
Janae's love for children extended far beyond the classroom. She opened her heart and home to 3 adopted daughters, Lakasha, Felicia, and Adriana. Together, they built a life in Duluth, Georgia. At just 40 years old, Janae had ambitious dreams. She had recently earned certification to open her own preschool, a goal she was on the verge of achieving. But those dreams were tragically cut short by a single gunshot. On the evening of Friday, July 18, 2008, witnesses at the bus station opposite Gwinnett Place Mall observed an African-American man forcibly remove a woman from a car, throw her onto the ground, and then drive away at high speed. One of the witnesses dialed 911 while others attempted to assist her.
911.
We gotta go in that mall. The lady just got shot.
Where at it? That place mall.
Where the bus station's at.
Is she breathing? Conscious and alert?
Yeah, she moving a little.
Did you see where the person is that did it?
Yeah, he was in a car, but he pulled off. It was like a beige car.
The sound of a gunshot echoed through a busy intersection in Duluth. Paramedics arrived first, stabilizing the victim before rushing her to Gwinnett Medical Center. Detectives soon followed, cordoning off the crime scene. A quick search of the area and the victim yielded no identification, and no one at the scene recognized her. As investigators questioned witnesses, they learned that the victim had been driven away in her own car. Janae was rushed to Gwinnett Medical Center as investigators began questioning witnesses at the scene. From the bus driver, they learned crucial details about the suspect. The bus driver recounted seeing an African-American man approach the woman seated in a gold car. She watched as he placed his hand on the driver's door, leaned in, and began speaking to the woman. Moments later, she heard a loud popping sound, a gunshot. The bus driver described how the man pulled the victim from the car and dumped her on the pavement before driving off in her vehicle. She also provided detectives with one vital detail. The man had been wearing a white t-shirt with green sleeves. Leading the investigation was Detective Damien Cruz from the Gwinnett County Police Department. As he meticulously examined the scene for clues, he received devastating news. The victim had passed away during surgery. What initially appeared to be a carjacking had now turned into a homicide. Detective Cruz knew they had to act quickly to find the killer. As he surveyed the area, Cruz was struck by the shooter's boldness. The crime had taken place in a relatively busy area, with a bus station nearby. He sent his team to interview managers at nearby restaurants and convenience stores, asking if anyone had witnessed a quarrel between a man and a woman. Cruz theorized that the shooting might have followed an argument, which could explain the motive. However, all inquiries came back empty-handed. No one had noticed any altercation before the gunshot rang out. 6 hours later, a breakthrough finally came. While still at the crime scene, detectives received a report from the station. A woman named Janae Coleman had reported her sister, Janae Coleman, missing. Janae explained that Janae often waited near the Gwinnett Place Mall before picking up her eldest daughter from work. That night, however, Janae had failed to show up and hadn't returned home. Janae provided a general description of Janae and the car she had been driving. Detective Cruz immediately realized that Janae Coleman was their victim. He knew he needed to speak with Janae face-to-face, hoping that her family might hold the key to solving the mystery of Janae's murder. In the early hours of July 19, 2008, Detective Cruz visited Janae. She was baffled as to why anyone would want to harm her sister. Janae had no enemies, no grudges, and no conflicts with anyone in the city. For Cruz and his team, the investigation only grew more complicated. The crime scene had yielded no evidence, and Janae's car was still missing. The team believed their best hope was to locate the vehicle, as it might contain crucial clues. Cruz had already placed a trace on Janae's license plate, but nothing had turned up. Just as hope began to fade, Cruz received a promising update. Janae's gold Dodge Stratus had been found 40 miles from the crime scene on July 19, 2008. Witnesses reported seeing men walking away from the car, talking loudly on a cell phone. The car was later discovered again, just 2 miles from its initial location. It had been hastily abandoned, as if the driver had fled in a hurry. Cruz hoped the vehicle would finally provide the evidence they needed. The car was sent to the crime lab for forensic analysis. There, investigators made several critical discoveries. Well-preserved fingerprints were lifted from the exterior of the driver's side door and the door handle. But the most significant find was a cigarette butt under the driver's seat. Interviews with Janae's family revealed that she never smoked and didn't allow anyone to smoke in her car. This meant the cigarette butt likely belonged to the killer. The forensic team worked to extract DNA from the butt, hoping to create a profile that could lead them to the killer. While there was enough material to begin testing, the investigation was about to hit a snag with the DNA profile. After running the DNA profile through the national database of the Combined DNA Index System, CODIS, investigators initially came up empty-handed. The fingerprints lifted from Janae's car were also run through the database, but again, there were no matches. Despite these setbacks, investigators weren't ready to give up. They had one more lead to pursue: CCTV footage from stores near the crime scene and the area where Janae's car was abandoned. The footage would soon reveal a shocking piece of evidence. Their killer had been caught on camera. The video from a convenience store near where Janae was parked showed a man wearing a white shirt with green sleeves, khaki pants, and carrying a black bag. He was seen purchasing 2 cans of beer, and most notably, a pack of cigarettes. Detectives listened closely as the man asked the clerk for Bronson Light Longs, the exact brand of cigarette butt found in Janae's car. For detectives, this was the breakthrough they needed. They now had video evidence of the man who had callously taken Janae's life. Using the footage, investigators turned to the media and the public for help in identifying the suspect. Despite widespread coverage, no one came forward with information about the man in the video. For the first time, investigators had everything they needed: fingerprints, DNA evidence, eyewitness accounts, and clear video footage of the suspect. Yet, without a name or new leads, the man in the video remained a phantom. Janae's case was growing cold, but Detective Cruz was determined to bring justice to Janae and her family. Just over a year after Janae's murder, the CODIS system finally delivered a hit. The DNA belonged to Donald Eugene Smith, a 51-year-old man with an extensive criminal record, including drug-related offenses. His most recent arrest had been in the early 2000s. Investigators realized Donald could very well be responsible for the carjacking and murder. His photo bore a striking resemblance to the man in the CCTV footage. When they visited Janae's family to share the news, no one recognized Donald or recalled Janae ever mentioning his name. This confirmed that the shooting was a random act of violence. A deeper dive into Donald's records revealed a cell phone number. Investigators subpoenaed the phone records and cross-referenced the activity with cell tower data. The results showed high activity near the crime scene and the location where Janae's car was abandoned. The same number had also been used on a job application Donald submitted years earlier. On February 3, 2010, Donald Smith was arrested at a homeless shelter in Georgia. Detective Cruz immediately notified Janae's family, who were relieved to hear the news. Investigators prepared to question Donald, hoping to finally uncover the truth. But the case was about to take a bizarre and unexpected turn. During questioning, Donald denied any involvement in Janae's murder or the theft of her car. When confronted with the DNA evidence found in her car, he offered no explanation. Investigators then showed him the convenience store CCTV footage, but Donald denied being the man in the video, claiming it was hard to even recognize the person's face. He also insisted he didn't own a shirt like the one seen in the footage.
A picture, basically on a computer. I want you to look at it. Let me know if you recognize it as yourself or not, okay? This is the day I'm talking about.
Oh, was it with this guy right here?
Yeah. You're saying that's not you?
That is definitely not me. I don't have a shirt like that. I can't see the face of the person, but that's not.
When questioned about the phone number linked to him, Donald provided vague answers.
And then your cell phone number at the time was 404-200.
Correct. No, that was not mine. That was my brother's phone number.
Frustrated, investigators asked him to take a polygraph test. The results were damning. Donald was deceptive when asked if he recognized the person in the video, though he answered truthfully when asked if he knew Janae Coleman. After the test, Donald appeared visibly shaken. During a cigarette break, Detective Cruz noticed something unusual. Donald smoked Aqua Blues, a hand-rolled cigarette brand, not Bronson Light Longs. This detail cast doubt on his involvement. Upon returning to the interrogation room, Donald calmly dropped a bombshell.
DNA is split between 10 twins. It's indistinguishable. They share DNA, identical twins. I've never been in that car.
He revealed that he had an identical twin brother named Ronald Smith, the man in the video. Donald urged investigators to ask his parents and sister to confirm his claim. Detective Cruz had feared this possibility. From Donald's file, he knew Donald was one half of a set of identical twins who share nearly identical DNA. The entire case now hinged on whether they had arrested the right twin. In a race against time, investigators scrambled to reevaluate the evidence. They remembered one crucial detail. While identical twins share DNA, their fingerprints are unique. This could be the key to solving the case. Investigators attempted to contact Ronald Smith, but he refused to voluntarily come in for questioning. Using cell phone data, they tracked him down to his family home. His parents and sister were unaware of the crime he had committed in 2008. At Donald's request, investigators showed his family the CCTV footage. Their gait, their clothing, the witnesses were unanimous. It was Ronald, not Donald. Ronald was arrested on February 5, 2010, and brought to the station for questioning about Janae Coleman and the events of that night. But investigators weren't taking any chances. Even as Ronald was being interrogated, his twin brother Donald remained in custody, a safeguard against potential deception. Then, the pieces began to align. The cell phone used by Ronald pinged the same towers as the killer's phone at both crime scenes. The brand of cigarettes Ronald smoked matched those found inside Janae's car, and the final nail in the coffin, Ronald Smith's fingerprints, a perfect match to those lifted from Janae Coleman's car. At first, detectives presented the evidence against Ronald, but he remained unmoved. Shifting tactics, they appealed to his emotions, asking him directly why he had shot Janae Coleman. Ronald became visibly agitated, overwhelmed by the weight of the accusations. He requested a break.
This is like all of a sudden on me. And I want to say something. Can I use the bathroom? Okay. Smoke one cigarette. Okay. And go back and talk.
Left alone in the interrogation room, with only Janae's photo staring back at him, he was under constant surveillance. Detective Cruz later recounted how Ronald began to gaze at the photo, murmuring apologies for what he'd done. After the break, the detectives returned, subtly easing the pressure by turning the camera away.
Guilty. I don't know why. It was an accident. There was an air trigger. I said I would take a car. So I've done before when I was way younger. They're gonna blow off. She said, you shot me.
This is my auto revolver.
It was 357. It was 5 shots. And then I went somewhere before I ended up doing something stupid again. I took the car down to the Forest Park there.
No.
You know, her family, this was something they really wanted to know as far as closure, okay?
You can tell them that taking someone's life was not in the mix. It was no part of the picture. You can tell them it was us. Thanks.
Well, thank you. I know that was difficult for you, but I thank you.
It was then that Ronald offered a full and candid confession. He was arrested for Janae Coleman's murder on February 6, 2010, and held without bond in the Gwinnett County Jail. Further evidence of Ronald's guilt surfaced in a recorded jailhouse call to a childhood friend. In that conversation, Ronald confessed, in veiled terms, that he was responsible for someone's death a year and a half prior. While the call was inadmissible as evidence in court, it solidified the investigators' conviction that they had finally caught Janae's killer. Donald, exonerated, was released to return to his family. With Ronald's confession in hand, detectives and prosecutors began the painstaking process of building an airtight case, determined to ensure that Janae Coleman's killer would face the full consequences of his actions. Jury selection for the trial commenced on Monday, October 22, 2012, with Ronald's trial beginning that same week. Donald, Ronald's twin brother, was called to testify, clarifying the understandable confusion that had initially led to his own arrest. But Ronald wasn't done complicating the case. Seeing an opportunity to shift blame, he reversed his earlier confession and pointed the finger at his twin brother, Donald. He claimed that Donald was the one who had committed the crime. When forensic experts testified that the fingerprints on Janae's car were his, Ronald offered a new explanation. He claimed his prints were on the car because he had helped wipe it clean, but forgot to remove his prints from the driver's door. On Friday, October 26, 2012, the jury deliberated for just 2 hours before reaching a verdict. They found Ronald Smith guilty of carjacking and the murder of Janae Coleman. His brother Donald was cleared of all suspicion. Superior Court Judge Melody Snell Connor sentenced Ronald to life in prison plus 25 years. To this day, he remains incarcerated at the Wheeler Correctional Facility in Alamo, Georgia. For Janae's family, the trial brought a measure of closure after their unimaginable loss. Her sister, Janae Coleman, spoke to reporters after the sentencing, expressing the family's unwavering faith in the justice system. "We prayed for a quick resolve and swift justice, and we've seen that happen," Camelia said. Rather than succumbing to hatred or seeking revenge, Janae's family chose to honor her memory by fulfilling her lifelong dream. On July 13, 2015, the Janae Coleman Excellence Academy opened its doors in Elkhart, Indiana, just days before the 7th anniversary of her death. The academy welcomed over 100 children, embodying Janae's passion for education and her love for children. Today's case highlights the critical role forensic science plays in solving crimes. Without the fingerprints found on the car door, there was a real risk that the wrong man, Donald, could have been convicted for a crime he didn't commit. Forensic evidence not only helped identify the true killer, but also ensured that justice was served. As we reflect on this case, let's consider a few questions. How significant is forensic science in solving crimes? What do you think of Ronald's attempt to shift blame onto his twin brother Donald during the trial? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel, liking this video, and sharing it with other true crime enthusiasts. If you have a case you'd like us to cover, leave your suggestions in the comments. Until next time, stay safe.